What up? It's your boy RPG. Red, purple, gold. Kilos. Panoramic roof. Bitch, I'm red, purple, gold. RPG. My strength will never fold. My height is never frozen cold. I'm the best. Yeah, that's what I've been told. 1, 2, 3. My voice has been freely sold. Luxury of my life is all I know. It's all I know.
Hey, what is up, everybody? I hope that everybody is having a fantastic day. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, regardless of whether you are joining from in the world. So glad that you are here or catching it later. I hope that everyone is having a fantastic day. And we are here, new week. So we've got a new episode of Artist on Artist Spotlight. And this week we've got a really, really special guest coming up, Zaythie. But before I bring him up onto the stage, just wanted to quickly let you guys know, make sure and get subscribed to the Bozy World YouTube page. Make sure and turn on all notifications so that you don't ever miss an episode of Artist on Artist Spotlight, of music reviews, or any of the things that we're doing here with the Bozy community. And thank you, everybody that's already joining us live. I really appreciate all that love and that support. But like I said, new week, we are here at episode 28 of Artist on Artist Spotlight. And this week, we've got a very special guest, and the spotlight is going to be on Zaythie. So let's bring him up to the stage. How you doing, man?
Hello. I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate you joining us here for the interview. Really excited. So let's just start it off easy. How's your day going?
It's going good. I've just been chilling, thinking of things that I could potentially release soon.
Ooh, we're starting it out in 10 seconds with a tease. I love it. Zaythie knows how to market. That's how you do it. I love that. Okay, let's go. Well, and guys, just like you know how I always like to start out every episode with some music. And, you know, if any of you guys tuned into my live today, this morning, just kind of doing a pre-marketing and, you know, letting people know, hey, we've got the interview tonight. You know, I was talking about his music and how excited I was to be able to get into it. And so the first one we're going to start off with today, probably one of my favorite songs. And also, it's such a cool thing because with your music, I get to have this dynamic split of the songs that are all instrumental, and then the songs that either have you with a feature or you on there as well. Now, this is one of the ones with you singing. So this is one of my favorite ones. This is WTH or What the Hell. All right. So let me really quickly actually realize that I hadn't presented that screen. Let me do that really quick. Let me pull up. So, and I focus on listening all of his music on SoundCloud. So that's where we are right now. And so again, see here. And also guys, make sure as soon as you get done with this interview today, definitely get over to SoundCloud, get subscribed, listen to the music, run up those numbers, you guys, because it is all really, really good. I've been really, really happy and just loving getting lost in the music over the last couple days. But again, you guys, this song is called What the Hell? Let's take a listen.
Did you know what I'm going through? I really need you right now so I can heal. I can't believe I'm by myself. Oh, I feel too much to handle. I just need you by my side, but I can't get out of this situation. What the hell? 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 talking section, but you know what? I'm gonna make it sound like shit. You don't know me, telling me what to do. I roll all your behaviors and read you did too long, then taking over turns, maybe it was your last shot going under. What the hell? What the hell?
All right, guys, you know how I love just a little bit of a tease. Don't want to give you the whole song. I want to give you a reason to go back to SoundCloud and then go through his whole catalog, maybe multiple times like I did, because it's pretty great. So, but again, this song is called What the Hell, and I love the vibe. I love the sounds, but one of the things that I'm so interested and excited to kind of get into, talking to you about today, give us a little bit of the background of like, okay, maybe not like you can remember directly like sitting down and making this song, but like give me a little bit of your process of like when you're sitting down to create something. Do you make a decision going in that this is going to be a song that you're going to record your voice on? Or do you kind of make it and then think, oh, I think this could sound awesome if I jumped on it? How does that work for you?
I feel like I usually decide like beforehand when I'm making a song.
Gotcha.
There's been a few songs where I have like been like, oh, I could definitely like sing over this, but for the most part, I decide beforehand because whenever I do make a beat and then I try and sing over it, I feel like it's just like it's harder to come up with like lyrics because it feels restricting in a sense. So it's like,
okay.
I feel like for me, I prefer to just sit here and decide beforehand.
No, I mean, I'm the same actually. Like I would want to work into it and be like, boom, I'm going to put my voice on this one, or like any of the albums that you've got where it is all instrumental. And then it's like, okay, and this whole thing, I'm just going to focus on just the music, no lyrics. And then it kind of just takes out this whole section for you that you just don't have to like mentally put that energy into. So,
Yeah.
So now give us a little bit of background on What the Hell. Tell us a little bit about like kind of how this song came to be. Like, did you start creating the beat and then kind of how came with the song after that? Or did you kind of already have a lyrical idea of what you wanted to do and then came up with the beat?
I think I made like it wasn't like I had the lyrics at first. I feel like I just kind of like came up with it whenever the beat happened. Like I made this song like how long has it been? I think I made it in like 2023 or something. So it's been a while, but basically like when I was making it, I like did the main like chorus basically like where I'm just saying what the hell. And that's like the main like, you know what I mean? Like the melody and stuff. And so the intro, and I feel like honestly that was like I wanted to make it like build up into this like, you know what I mean? So that was like kind of my idea, but I don't know. I think it works. And honestly, I just want to make something catchy and fun and not like, I didn't care if it was like stupid. I don't care.
Well, and I think that that's for me one of the things that I like the most about this song is because there is this aspect to it. And one of the other songs that we'll listen to later is You Want to See Me in a Martini. And that one is such a cool song, but it's got such a different, like, it's almost got this, even with like the cover art, it's got this like kind of like creepier vibe. Like you're like, whoa, okay, who knows where we're getting with this? But then you hear the lyrics and you're like, oh wow, that's actually catchy. But then when I heard What the Hell, I was like, okay, this is the one that I am actively dancing and like bouncing around with the most. Where I'm like, okay, if I was in a club and I heard this song, I would be going crazy with this. Like, this is really good. And then other ones like You Want to See Me in a Martini, where I'm like, oh, that one took me by surprise. Like, I didn't really know what I'd think. And then I'm like, and I'm still moving around having a good time. But this song, I think, made me do it the most. So in the sense of like that club feel of the songs that I heard the most, this one I felt to me was the most of those, where I was like, oh man, okay, this is good. Like I could see people at a festival just jumping around and going crazy with this. So I mean, I really like it.
Thank you.
So let's shift gears a little bit, go to something super easy, because this was something I actually glad that I always now ask, when I'm getting ready to prepare and like listen to all of the music, because sometimes when we started off, doing the music reviews on Instagram, or when you're coming in, like a lot of times people talk to you like your name is the Instagram handle. And so I'm like, oh, should I look it up with Jinx's Suite? Is it Zaythie? And so then it was like, oh, it's only that as the artist name. But I was kind of under the impression that it was both. So I'm definitely glad that I asked. But with the name Zaythie, how did that come about? Have you had another moniker or an artist name that you've gone by in the past? Or have you kind of had this one the whole time? And how did you kind of come to the finalization of this is going to be your name?
So basically, I feel like for me, I used to go by just Jinx. Like that's what I went by. And like I forgot what it was called. Just like it was like stylized a certain way. But the reason I changed it to Zaythie was because I just felt like Jinx was kind of too common, and I felt like it wasn't like it would be hard to market myself, because I feel like obviously you have like shows like freaking like League of Legends or Arcane or whatever, where it's like people are going to be comparing me to that all the time, and I've been getting asked questions like, oh, do you know League of Legends? No, I don't. But like I don't
Neither
know
do I,
that,
so
like,
I get
it. So that's like the main reason. And I think the reason I went with Zaythie out of everything was because obviously my real name is Zachary. And so I thought, okay, well, how can I like incorporate a piece of my personal self into my artist name? So I started with like, that's how I went about it. So.
Okay, gotcha. So now if you've got that like initial ZA of like your name, Zachary, with the Zaythie, like, was there anything specific? Did that just kind of come off the tongue and you're like, oh, I like it? Or does that mean something specific?
I think it just like this, honestly, this sounds really like bad, but I like was like using ChatGPT because I was like, okay, how can like what are some like artist names that like fit my vibe?
Yeah.
And that's like how I came up with it. But,
okay. Nice. No, that's cool. I mean, because I think that's one of the reasons that I love asking that question, is because I love hearing the story of like what your thing was that worked, that like made you get to the final aspect. But then at the same time, I can understand the mindset of like, okay, Zaythie is definitely a much more distinct, you're not going to see a lot of those. And Jinx, yeah, you definitely would. But then also, was there anything when you were the Jinx name and that moniker before, was there anything that was like, you could have played into the League of Legends thing or like the other stuff? Or was it just like, I don't want to keep dealing with that?
I think it was like, I didn't want to keep dealing with that, but also I think it's because I feel like that name Jinx just didn't represent me anymore. Like I felt like it's just the genre of music I was making under that name wasn't like my style anymore. And I was like, this is just too much. Like I'm done.
Gotcha. And so when was it that you made the change from Jinx and then moved to Zaythie? And then how long has it been that you've been making music under this name?
I'm pretty sure it's been like ever since, I would say like February probably, or March or something like that. But
oh wow.
It's like been pretty recent. I kind of like, I think in my head I was like, okay, I'm gonna start releasing like my new music under Zaythie, because it's like my new music, at least that I want to promote, is like house music. So I feel like it's much more of a different genre and like more ethereal. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna restart,
Gotcha. Okay, interesting. And now with the music that you have under SoundCloud, under the Zaythie name, and all of that music, including the albums and everything, that's all been since just like February?
No, well, basically what I did was I those originally were released under Jinx, but I changed it to
Okay.
Zaythie because I was like,
Gotcha.
okay, well, it's SoundCloud, so I might as well. But
Yeah.
actually, a lot of my first album, and actually my first 2 albums, I released in 2021,
Okay.
but I released them on SoundCloud recently just to like have it available basically. So
Totally. Okay, that makes sense. Now, because one of the things that I had seen when you were under the Jinx name, were you releasing it under everything, like all platforms in a sense, or is it only SoundCloud now?
I was releasing it under all platforms. Like if you
Okay,
look up Jinx, it's on Spotify, but I just
gotcha.
haven't posted on there since. So
Okay, that makes sense. Gotcha. Okay,
Mhm.
okay, that's cool. I like that. And so, do you feel like, in the sense of, like, I mean, obviously, maybe it's not always wanting to move away from one name and go to another one, but do you feel like
Mhm.
there's any chance that you could see a new evolution again in the future and maybe change the name again?
No, because
Okay.
I don't want to be like one of those artists that's like, you know what I mean? Like they constantly are
Yeah.
changing their name, but I feel like this one I'm like sticking to because I like it and it's
Yeah.
unique, and so I'm like, you know what? I like this one. So
Nice. Okay. Okay. I like that. Okay. So, when we first got started with the interview, you had said that, a lot of times you will make the decision to sit down and decide, I'm going to record on this one. I'm going to put vocals of some kind on there, like the song, because one of the next ones that we'll play is the one with Hellbound, because I love
Mhm.
that song. Not only because I love Hellbound too, but just
Mhm.
because of the fact that I'm like, ooh, that was the one song where you had, like, with another artist, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, I'd heard so much of the instrumental stuff, and then like your 4 or 5 tracks with just you, and then the one with Hellbound, I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
damn, you do like a feature on there too, and
Yeah.
you get that blending of the multiple artists on one song. I was like, this is really good. That's my favorite song overall, but
Yeah.
more so in the sense of the song, where
Mhm.
I don't know if you could easily as play like I Love You More at a house show. Maybe not
Yeah.
like to that same sense. So I
Mhm.
look at that as being like, this is the song, and then something more like What the Hell is like, this is the clubby song. This is the beat that you
Yeah.
want to dance to. This is the one that you're just like, wow, this is a really good song. Like, this just put
Mhm.
together so well. So
Mhm.
with that mindset, and you're sitting down, and let's, just take a look more so at the sense of, let me pull your SoundCloud back up, and let me actually scroll back up and get over to your albums, because
Mhm.
so I actually just kind of went in, order of this. So I started with the newest one,
Mhm.
with Realm of Insanity, and then actually ended it on your older one. Um,
Mhm.
and so when you're getting ready to do this, and let's say, you're right now, we're looking at Realm of Insanity. So the brand new
Mhm.
album that you just released this year,
Mhm.
and all of these songs are all instrumental ones.
Yeah.
So give us a little bit more of your process when it comes to actually, like, showing, like, I'm going to sit down and now get the music started. Give us a little bit of that, like, specific of like what you go into, what's step 1, 2, 3.
I think as far as like music and like albums and like putting them together and everything, I think with like albums, like, well, for example, like with Realm of Insanity, I
Mm-hmm.
originally wasn't planning to like release all those songs together in an album.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
I was kind of just honestly, like, to be honest, they were kind of all droplet singles that I was like, okay, well, I like all these songs,
Mm-hmm.
and they honestly like oddly kind of fit together. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, like I can put this together and like call it an album because it does feel like an album in a sense.
Totally.
But obviously there's my other albums. I feel like when I made them, I just had like I feel like the songs I made in those albums, they all came together because I made them at a specific time, and it just like had a similar feel and had similar lyrics. And that was kind of like what how it goes together. You know what I mean?
No,
And
absolutely.
yeah, and also I feel like I just come up with like themes and like I storytell, like, especially in like instrumental albums, my instrumental albums. It's like
Mhm.
for me personally, I like I tell a story through the sounds, not so much the lyrics. And I
Yes.
know that's like probably like most people are used to listening to lyrics and that's how they kind of get the point and whatever. But for me, it's
Mhm.
like a project tells the story for me as an artist. So
Totally. Well, and and I'm so glad you just said it like that, because I think that was like the words I was looking for this morning when I was talking on the live and talking about your music, because I think that's like the thing, that listening to your music for the first time was like, okay, now I understand house more. I understand this type
mhm,
of music more. But yet, when I was listening to the album specifically, I agree with you. It was the first time that I'd heard an instrumental album the whole way through where I was like, oh, wow. Okay, I catch that theme. That's good.
yeah,
And there were some songs that like directly like went even more to the theme where I was like, oh,
mhm,
wow, that's like perfect. Like I
yeah,
think Realm of Insanity was one of my favorites, but
mhm,
I actually thought Cuckoo Land was the one where I felt like the theme was the
mhm,
most like recognizable. Like where I
mhm,
when I left that album, I was like, okay, I get what he was trying to tell there. So I
yeah,
definitely agree with that. But I think that that's what
mhm,
I was trying to figure out how to say this morning, because I was like,
mhm,
it's like I kept getting lost in the words because I had such a hard time trying to like define what I felt like
mhm,
your music was. But I love that you
mhm,
say that. So
yeah,
when you are starting this, and like you said with Realm of Insanity, that it was like a piece singles put together and then kind of help create the theme of the album. Is there ever a time frame like with Devil's Advocate or After Hours, or one of the ones where like even the cover art and everything, just the whole theme on all aspects was really, really good?
mhm.
Was there anything like you thought of the theme before you started to think up more the music and what you wanted to do?
I think, well, I would say like for Devil's Advocate, honestly, that
Mhm.
was probably, I think for me, even though I don't personally like that era of my music, but like
Mhm.
I feel like that was probably the most like cohesive sound in my opinion, like
Mhm.
as an album,
Yeah.
because I feel like obviously like I sung on those songs and like I wrote lyrics for them,
Mhm.
and um I think that was the one where I went into it and I had a theme in mind.
Okay.
And I think I was like, because obviously the two albums before that one were still dark and like
Totally.
horror-ish,
Yep.
but that one was like pure horror. And it was like, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna write whatever comes to my mind, and that's what happened. So
Absolutely. So now, when you were doing Devil's Advocate, and then you came out with Devil's Advocate, the complete edition, let's just focus on that, because I don't think it was until like seeing you, Louis, like maybe Hellbound, where they would actually have a re-release of the same album and then do like the complete edition or the extended version or whatever they'd call it.
mhm.
Did you know going into making the initial Devil's Advocate that you had additional songs that you wanted to put out, and that was like on purpose in the realm of like the marketing? Or was it
Mhm.
you released the album and then these new songs came in that you're like, oh, those would have been perfect on the album, and then just released a complete edition after the
Mhm.
fact?
I think it was like more so like I didn't have that in mind at the time. It was more
Okay.
so like I released it now because I felt like, you know what, like what are some songs like I can release to that? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And actually, it's funny because the original album, those all had vocals, but then the complete edition, I just decided I'm going to release just all the instrumentals because I was like, I think that would be, it kind of fits in more with what I'm doing now, which is just releasing instrumentals all the time.
Gotcha. Okay.
And It is funny though, because one of the tracks, it's called Three Warnings on the complete edition.
Mhm.
That one actually originally had vocals, but I didn't release it because I did originally release it, but then I removed it.
Mhm.
But that was a whole different story for another day. And I don't know. It was just like, it was too controversial. Let's just say that. So I
Okay,
was like,
gotcha. So a little bit of envelope pushing there. I like it. Okay, I
Mhm.
like that. Okay, so then now with so let's focus a little bit more on, like when you're getting down. So with Realm of Insanity, and you're actually like sitting down in front of the computer, you're going to start actually trying to, create a beat and make music of some kind come together. Are there, like, let's start out easy. What's the program that you use to make the music?
I use FL Studio.
Yeah, FL Studio. Okay, cool. And then now when you're sitting down, like, and this is more so just, edification on my side, because, that's really one of the areas where I watch it a lot, but I don't
Mhm.
have enough of like the active experience that I'm like, okay, it's probably this or maybe more like this. But like, how long does it usually take you to be able to have a song that starts out and then now you have it completed? Like maybe not completed, like ready release it, but more like
Mhm.
I can now set this one down, and when I'm ready to release, it's good to go. Like how long does that usually take for you?
I feel like it really just depends. I think usually, like, if I'm really into a song, like if I
Mhm.
really vibe with it, it sometimes only takes me like 5 hours, 4 hours, and then I feel like, oh, I can like move on.
Yeah,
But sometimes depending on like the song, it's just if it's like not going together well or just something's not working,
yeah,
then I just like come back to it much later and I'll
gotcha.
like try and think, okay, like what are some things that I can add or like do differently.
Yeah,
But for the most part, it really just depends because I have a lot of like snippets kind of like beats that I've made, but I haven't really finished because I'm just like
yeah.
I just got overwhelmed or bored and I was like, okay, we're moving past this. So, but yeah.
Nice. Okay, I like that. All right, so then now when you are getting ready to sit down and make the music, because one of the things that I heard, really
Mhm.
consistently throughout all the albums, like not just not just Devil's Advocate or just Realm or anything like that, but you know, is there a consistent like package of like instruments or different things that you're usually turning to, or do you kind of usually bring in a lot of randomness for each song?
I think the recent songs I've been making, I've been using Pacific sounds because
Okay,
I feel like I'm kind of just specifically like more future based sounds or more like just
gotcha.
house sounds and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I've also been using a lot of reverb because I'm trying to like do a ethereal vibe kind of.
gotcha.
But yeah, I would say though in the past I used to definitely just bring in a lot of different sounds and it was
Mhm.
way more experimental electronic. But now I feel like I kind of have like, okay, this is the sounds I want to use and like the sample packs I want to use. So
Gotcha. Okay, nice. And now we'll come back to this conversation because I actually do have another question about that, but wanted
Mhm.
to be able actually play another song. And let's go into that one that we were talking about a few minutes ago with you and Hellbound called I Love You More. And,
Yes.
I think with this song, like I said, I think What the Hell is probably one of my favorite ones in regards to the more like clubby, that vibe that you're trying to more focus on. But
Mhm.
again, like I said, I love this one with Hellbound because I love how unique his sound is, but then when it mixes with your uniqueness as well, I'm like, oh, actually, it's like not too much. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you get like too much of it and it clashes, but yet with
Mhm.
Hellbound, I think he's so like malleable and can really
Mhm.
like mold himself into what your sound is. So you still got to be wild and like have this really good, cool but different vibe,
Mhm.
but yet Hellbound really like brought his stuff. But like when I hear his lyrics, I'm like, wow, this is really well written too.
Yeah.
So let me pull up that back for SoundCloud. And let me go back over to the actual songs again. Let's go to the tracks. Yes, and it's right in front. All right, and so you guys, this is I Love You More featuring Hellbound. Let's give it a listen.
Watch your back, Jack. The real sourdough stars
Hang on.
back at Carl's Jr. Soft, buttery toasted sourdough, bacon,
We'll bring that back as soon as it is done with that commercial. I always forget that I need to get ready for that. That is my fault on that one. But one of the things that we'll think about when we come back, oh, nice, okay, is also going to be looking at, like, you know, after the fact, like when it's done, like, you know, getting ready to release. But let's take a listen.
One thing. By now he is hopelessly insane. Is hopelessly insane. Is hopelessly insane. Homicidal maniac bent on only one thing. Revenge by the most horrible means imagined.
I love you more. I hate you too. Even your breathing. Stop your breathing. I find I love you more. I hate you too. Hey, how much I'd love to hate you. Welfare consumes that's all of my two. Flowers bloom, love, I look like death. Crimson thorn pierce my heart. I hate the fact I can't breathe with that.
If he was buried alive, you can be sure of one thing. By now he is hopelessly insane. A homicidal maniac bent on only one thing.
I love you more. I hate you too.
A homicidal maniac bent on only one thing.
I mean, come on, you guys. That song is so crazy. I love it. I love it. I absolutely love that song. So, give me a little bit of an explanation. Only because when I heard this song, I think one of the reasons that I love it too is because of how different it really was. Where I was like, whoa, like this is nothing even close. Like, you know, like 500 songs of, like, you know, more house, like more that type of vibe, and then boom, here's this random kind of. Now, granted, I mean, maybe not like you haven't done other like songs that have the creepy vibe or like have the style, but to mold into what Hellbound is too, like that's what I love the most about it. So is there anything with you as the artist that you have to switch up or change or anything, like mentally, like, you know, just get your head in a different game to kind of try to make a song like this, as opposed to something more like what the hell? Like is what goes into the process and how does this change it?
Well, I would say, like, with as far as like the headspace and stuff, I think that depending, like, usually if I'm making a song, like I will, for example, I actually like made a song not that long ago, and it was more industrial, and it was like kind of like I'm making like more like house music or ethereal, whatever. But that one was like really crazy, and I kind of just went to that headspace again of like being crazy and everything. And it's like, you know, that was just something where it's like, it's easy to go into that headspace because I just feel like I'm able to like kind of shape shift into genres, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've already done those sorts of genres, so like I know how to do that. But actually with this song specifically, it's funny because I don't know if many people know this, but basically what happened is the way it came about was I originally released I Love You More in the past with me singing on it. And basically the reason I sent it to Hellbound is because I thought, okay, well, this obviously, like, because I shared one of my songs from Devil's Advocate or something. People were like, oh, this would sound good with Hellbound on it. So I was like, oh, okay, let me send it to him and see what he
Yeah.
thinks, and he really liked it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna send him this song, like the instrumental, and just see how he can
Mhm.
form his own style into it. And I feel like that's kind of what I'm doing with some of my old songs, is like I'm kind of reviving them in a sense, like giving it to someone else to like
Cool.
create what, you know what I mean? And that's like
Yeah.
how it went about. So
That is so cool. Wow.
mhm.
I would not have thought about that as a way to be able to revive like older music.
Mhm.
But damn, that's actually really smart. Like go back to like 2017 with my first album and be like, who can I get on this song that wasn't on here? Oh, I like that. Oh, that's really smart.
Yeah.
Okay, good idea. So
Yeah.
is there a thought process to do like this with a lot of different songs, or was this kind of like an experiment in itself?
Um, I think this is like, honestly, I wouldn't mind like doing this with a lot of different songs, because
Yeah.
honestly, like I feel like I have a lot of different like it's funny because I also have a lot of unreleased songs that I haven't
Mhm.
released yet that I made back then, like years ago. And
Mhm.
the reason I never released them was just because I didn't think my vocals were that great. So I was like, okay, we're not
Okay.
gonna release this. But I was also thinking like, oh, I could also send it to a different artist and see if they can like get on it, like Hellbound did, for example. So
Totally.
it'd be really cool.
Nice. Okay. Wow. I like that. That's really, really smart. That's and especially for you in the sense of the type of music that you make where like you're always creating new stuff, but yet it's like so much of it is all instrumental. So it's just that perfect open pathway of like, bring the plane on in because we've got the runway for it. So
Yeah.
I really like that. So now let's shift gears and take me back a little bit, like years ago, were like, for your musical journey, have you always kind of like had this level of like, oh, I've always tended to move to music? Like that's something that was always there, or is this come up later as you had gotten older?
Um, I feel like it came up later
Okay.
because and it's mainly because I didn't like have the resources to make music back then. So
Totally.
like I feel like it just happened one day where I was like, oh, you know what? I just want to try this out. Actually, it's funny because the first song I ever remember making
Hmm.
is a song on my first album, and it was called Possession, and the title track. And that song I'm pretty sure I made it on like some online music making platform. So
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was like, you know what? I just kept making music, and then I feel like I got better at it over time. So
Hmm. Absolutely. Well, and now, but in the sense of like when you were like also like young, like a kid,
mhm.
was there ever any I guess one in the sense like changed and then like moved you towards like the music in the sense, but also wanting to focus more on like the electronic sound and like really
Mhm.
be more of like the producer that is able to make music and like put themselves on there, but yet it feels like the focus is like,
Mhm.
here's the instrumentals, here's my skill, here's I'm putting me out there. But
Mhm.
like, do you feel like it's I don't know, I mean, I guess it's like, do you feel like how do you want to be able to like move forward like with your sound? Like is there an idea of like new things you have wanting to come up in the sense of new songs types, or are you going to kind of
Mhm.
like, is this kind of like this, this is my lane and I love being in it?
I think for right now, this is like my lane, and I like being in it. I think
Yeah.
eventually I'm gonna try and like like use my voice more and like in a better way that I feel like I'm comfortable using it. But for now, I feel like I just like making beats because I like telling a story through. Thank you. I like telling a story through like the sounds, and
Yeah.
that's kind of like what I try to do with my music, is like I try and challenge people to like, because like a lot of people, listen to lyrics and like that's their way of connecting through the song.
Mhm.
But my way of like challenging people is challenging that perspective and like of being able to connect just through the sounds and not the lyrics,
Yeah.
you know.
Totally. Absolutely. And is there anything that you do when, again, kind of like going back to that creative process and like, you know, when you're actually getting the music put together, is there anything that you do, like, again, because so many of your albums really are themed well, and like you can hear the theme, you can kind of feel it, like it's like the emotional side of it. But is there anything that you do, like maybe going back to Devil's Advocate again, you know, was there anything specific that like, okay, well, this is the theme I'm going to go for, so this is what I'm going to do to like push that theme? Like, is there anything that you try to be able to like, oh, and I'm putting this in your face here from this type of sound or whatever? Like, is there anything you do as the artist that is kind of like a signature to you?
I think that I don't know. I feel like the things that feel like is like my way of incorporating like my own like I guess like you know what I mean? Like I guess my way of like incorporating my own uniqueness into it is obviously like I think honestly like sometimes I will just add like funky synths into stuff that just like most people would not do or like think, oh, that doesn't fit in, but like I just do it anyways because I'm like, well, I don't care, like I'm gonna do it. And like people might say, oh, it's experimental, like okay, like like that's my way of doing it. So
right. Okay.
exactly.
So now let's move the focus away from like your specific thing and let's take a look at some inspirations. Okay. So when, like, you know, because I know a lot of times with artists, maybe they have like, you know, 2 or 3 artists that are like, okay, if I can be able to like need to feel like I want to get some inspiration, I can go listen to them and I'm maybe going to have something pop up. Is there anybody that you try to like maybe blend your style off of, like, or anybody that you're like, okay, I try to be able to emulate in a sense of what this person does?
I would say, I mean, obviously, like one of my biggest inspirations is Lady Gaga. Like that's one of my most favorite artists ever.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, I don't really feel like whenever I'm making my music, I don't really think of anyone specific. Like, for example, a lot of the songs I make, the artists I listen to, I don't even like, for example, like Devil's Advocate, it's very horror, very like experimental. I don't listen to that music at all. Like, I don't listen to that outside of it. So it's like usually whenever I make my music, it just kind of comes to me for whatever reason. Like it just comes together. There are some songs that like I will listen to something specific and be like, oh, I want to like do like my own take on it. Like for example, like one of my songs called Tectonic Mayhem, like I remember listening to like this random song or random snippet in like this it was like on some Discord server. And I was like, oh, I really like this beat or whatever, but I didn't copy it, but I was like, oh, I like this inspires me to make something like this, you know what I mean?
Totally.
And so that was kind of like sometimes there'll be songs like that, but most of the time I just like it just comes together from my whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
okay. Wow. Okay, I like that. And now, is there anybody that you're listening to right now that maybe within the last like couple months or last, you know, half a year or something that has been a specific big inspiration for you in the sense of like helping mold future sound, or just kind of always get you in that energy? Is there anybody you listen to that you'd recommend to people?
I would say like there's not really anyone like specific. I guess like the music I've mainly been listening to is like honestly I've kind of been listening to like some hyper pop songs a little bit, but I haven't really I would say there's not really like a specific artist that has, I guess if anything, like I've been listening to like a lot of art pop from Lady Gaga, but that's about it. But that's probably, if anything, is like I guess, has been like, I don't know, like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's just
Yeah.
been something that is maybe like in the future I would want to do something similar to like her or like that album or whatever. So
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Nice. I like that. All right. So let's take a listen to another song. And this was one of the ones that I had not actually specifically directly talked about earlier, but wanted to do one of my favorite all instrumental ones, and that is Hysteria. And I love this song. Because there were some of the ones like you had just mentioned, what was Tectonic, what was the second part of that?
Mayhem.
Mayhem, thank you. Yeah, Tectonic Mayhem. Like when you said that, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that song. That was a good one. So it's just kind of like, it's always, especially when it's all instrumental, sometimes it's kind of harder to remember, like, wait, which one was that? And so anytime I would have like a beat come across and I'd be like, ooh, all right. And then I'd have to look at the song to make sure that I could like write it down to be like, okay, that's one I want to come back to. Because when it's all instrumental, sometimes they can get lost in each other. You're like, wait, was it that one or was it this other one? Like, did I get lost, in like a 10-minute track type of thing? So let's take a listen to Hysteria. And let me go back to the tracks here. And again, that was the thing that I really liked about, listening to Zaythie's music, was the fact that like it was so easy to be like, okay, if I'm listening to an album, all instrumental. I mean, obviously, except of course, Devil's Advocate, the non-complete edition. But in general, though, it made it nice to be like, okay, I can listen to the tracks and now get to this. Boom. And now I can, just focus on the instrumentals on the albums. So let's pull it up and let's take a listen to Hysteria.
This Thursday,
Oh, no.
you will never see a movie.
I need to remember what Louis' rule was to get it already started and let the ads go through.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I hate ads.
And this one's the worst because there's two of them. So you're like, oh great. But one of the things that we'll kind of focus on when we come back from this one, that I wanted to be able to talk a little bit more about was maybe moving over to 10th in Music, taking a look at some of the albums, kind of focusing on some of those, and then also, just kind of like get into deep dive in that. But let's take a listen to Hysteria. All right. I love that song. It's just, I think in the sense of like the title, just the crazy flow of it, like, I'm like, yeah, this is Hysteria. Like, this is so well put together, but yet again, that theme, like, I love the fact that you keep coming back to themes and yet it actually like comes through in the right way, where it's not just like, oh, I have concepts of the idea of a theme, but yet I can't actually like bring it home. Like I like how
Yeah.
you do a really good job of like,
Mhm.
oh wow, like when you have a name or a like a color or a blah blah blah, like you focus on that, like you get the
Mhm.
assignment. So I really like that.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I was wondering about, again, you know, maybe a little bit more edification to my side because of, you know, maybe some lack of experience in regards to, you know, specifically knowing and having a lot of experience within, you know, house music and electronic just in general. But
Mhm.
with some of the songs, and not that it's like every one or that it's barely any of them, but like, is it like when you're making some of those transitions, because like right before we, you know, paused it and then came back on, it was like that, and then it went up like way higher. When you're sitting down and you're actually in front of the computer and putting the instruments in and blah blah blah, does it feel like in a sense that it's just a string of consciousness, like you're
Mhm.
now just adding this sound because you just added this one? Or do you
Mhm.
feel like you are like we talked about with the themes, that there is some foresight put into it and you're kind of like, I know where I want to go with the sound that it is? Like
Mhm.
how does that work?
I think what it is like it's kind of like when I'm making the song, it just like I think it just flows naturally, so it just comes to my mind. And
Yeah.
actually, I will say one of because I know like my how I felt when I was creating this, and like
Hmm.
I know that there was like two Pacific songs that I was thinking of, or like that kind of inspired,
Hmm.
especially that like next part of that song that before we paused. Um, I listened to this one song. It was by Crystal Castles. It's called Nights, and
Hmm.
that was a song that inspired it, as well as Impressive Instant by Madonna. So like
Hmm.
those two songs together, I don't know. I just like those were the songs that I think was in the back of my head when I was creating this. And
Yeah.
so that's like why, you know, it was like like that was
Yeah.
kind of like something I wanted to do in the song. So
Okay. Gotcha. Nice. And now for you individually, because, you know, my producer that I'm working with now, you know, on this new album, um you know, he talked about, he's like, yeah, you know, you gotta do it every day, even if you're not feeling it, you know, because who knows if you're gonna, just because you might not be like in the mode, like does that mean you're gonna create something bad, like, you know, blah blah blah. Like it just was kind of like just this, you gotta always put the consistency, you gotta put the work in. So for you, you know, a lot of the stuff you've been talking about, you know, feels like it's so much based on an emotion of a type of thing, or like you were talking about, like with Hellbound song, like where it's like, how do I get myself into that mindset where I'm going to go a little darker, I'm going to go a little bit more horror, or whatever the specific aspect is. Like, do you feel like you, when you're sitting down to create, are you more of a, I'm always making something almost every day, or do you feel like you have to be in an emotion of some kind to really like get it all the way out?
I think I have to be in a certain emotion of some kind because I feel like for
Hmm.
me, I don't like I'm not a very consistent person. Like I definitely am like one of those people where it's like I'll make a song,
Hmm.
I won't make music for like weeks and then I'll come back and then like I feel like it's not for me. I feel like it used to be more of like it just depends on like what like my mood is and how motivated I am.
Hmm.
Cause I guess for me, it's like I don't want to, if I'm going to make music, I want to be in the right mindset to create something, create it like that I am proud of
Yeah.
instead of just, you know what I mean? But sometimes I do sit down, I'm like, okay, I want to make something. And like
Yeah.
eventually a beat will come, like, will eventually come out and it will just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's
Okay.
usually what happens. So.
Gotcha. Okay. So now one of the things that I wanted to shift gears to and kind of focus on a little bit before we move over to 10th and music is, because one of the things that I can remember before, obviously, like we had the interview set up and then I'm doing more of my deep dive and like really getting into the weeds and hearing all of your music, you know, multiple times, that when you would send in submissions to the reviews, You know, because I can remember several times being on reviews where either you would win a beat of the day or like you had submitted a track. And one of the times I maybe it was the Martini song. I don't totally remember, but one of the things actually it wouldn't have been it wouldn't have been one of the Martini ones. It probably would have been one of the instrumental ones. But like on some of them, like with Hysteria that we were just listening to, let's use that as a perfect example. That beat is so cool, and it just is like it's all over the place. You know, it's definitely wild and fast and just kind of, you know, bubbly, like with that bump, 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 beep, 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 bump, like it's just all the different stuff you put in there. But yet it feels like this is the beat for the beat. This is not a thing I'm trying to open up to, like, oh, I would absolutely want to hear an artist get on this.
Yeah.
How do you decide, or like, what is your process in the creative aspect that like, you're like, okay, I am just making this beat for the beat, or I would maybe put a little bit of a consideration that I'd want to hear somebody hop on this later? How does that work for you?
I feel like for the most part, like I don't ever really make songs to like, I guess I don't ever like make a beat and I'm like, oh, I want someone to be on it. Like, I guess that's never really been like something I've thought of. Like, obviously, like Hellbound, for example, like, like that song I already released because I already like wrote it and had vocals on it. So I was like, okay, well, you know what I mean? Whereas with the beats that are just beats, I guess like, because I know like sometimes when I submit like the reviews and stuff or on the music, sometimes people, or like even Louis or whoever, they'll be like, oh, I could hear someone on, or like I want to get on, or whatever. And it's like, I guess for me, it's like that would be cool, but I also feel like I want just that beat to be its own thing. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And it's never been like, oh, I plan on hearing or myself or anyone else on it. So
that makes sense. So then I guess maybe more so in a way, like, you don't really look at yourself in a general way as a producer. Like, you are the artist, and the type of art that you make is, you know, this house music, this type of thing, but it's not really maybe meant to say like, oh, but I also create this whole other aspect where it's like, I make these beats solely specific to try to get somebody on them.
Yeah, it's like I do it just like, I guess like just for the like making a statement. I don't know. It's like I just do it just like for the art of it, I guess. I don't know. But I also feel like, to be fair though, I feel like most of the songs, I usually like creating albums with the beats. Like I don't usually like releasing standalone singles because I feel like it's just like, it's harder, especially for the beats. Like it's harder to have, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, for example, like one of like a project I am working on, like an album.
Yeah.
There's so many songs where it's like, if I released one of those songs, it might be harder to have it be as powerful, because I feel like the reason I want to have it in an album is because all those songs are going to complement each other.
Yes.
And when people look at it as a whole, they're going to be like, oh, this is an art piece. Like, this is a statement. Whereas if I just release one of those songs alone, it's going to be harder to like market it in a sense. But and actually, Ethereal is technically the first single for that album, because I was like, you know what, I'm just going to release one of the more experimental songs on that album.
Yep.
But I was like, let's start it off with a bang and let's go from there.
Right. Well, and I think, let me take that and run with it, because let's take a listen to Ethereal, because this is the most recent active thing that you have released, correct? And what was the technical release date for Ethereal? Do you remember?
Well, it was like May 8th, but
okay, so just for the last couple weeks.
Yeah, but I did make the song at the beginning of last year, so it's been a while.
Gotcha. Okay, nice. Okay, nice. Very cool. Well, no, and this was also the song that I used for the marketing, for for the actual letting people know about this event. But it does have such a cool style to it, but yet it more so maybe just getting into your head in the sense of like, oh, when you hear this maybe comparatively to, Hysteria or, I Love You More, it's totally got a completely different vibe to it. But let me really quickly just now actually do the... Okay, good. Yep, see? But yeah, so while we're waiting for this to come through, because that was one of the reasons. Now, do you feel like there's going to be a future state at all where like you maybe try to specifically set aside music, maybe where you're like the purpose of it is more trying to get an artist on there?
I would say maybe eventually. It just depends. Like I would say like maybe in a future project I would consider something like that.
Yeah.
But I think for now and like the music I am gonna release soon,
Yeah.
it's all just gonna be beats. So
just all beats. Okay, totally. And I think it totally makes sense. It just was more so like because so many of the albums, obviously minus the first Devil's Advocate, had some lyrics on there, but like so much of the music was all instrumental. But yet when I hear I Love You More, and secondary question to that really fast, did you help at all with coming up with any of those lyrics, or was that all Hellbound when it came to like what he actually sung?
I mean, I originally wrote the lyrics, so he definitely did sing some of the original lyrics I already had on there.
Okay, gotcha.
He did make his. I know that he made up the bridge, for example. That was his idea.
Cool.
And a few other lyrics he put in there was stuff that he wrote. So.
Gotcha. Okay. Because it just was more so like when I hear that one put together in the sense of, you've got the majority of all the music that's just the instrumental. You've got, this smattering of really fantastic songs that's just you. And then this one song where it's like, oh, you and this other artist on there. And I'm like, it was so good. It almost feels like, yes, it doesn't need to be the focus, but man, like, are you doing yourself like a disservice a little bit?
Yeah.
Of not at least going down the pathway, being like, well, it's another thing people could fall in love with me on a whole new like realm, as opposed to only, just the instrumental stuff. So that's why I was thinking, I'm like, wow, okay, I hope he does do more, if for nothing else, because I think it goes together really well. But again, let's take a listen to the most recent single released on May 8th, and this is Ethereal. Oh, and actually, do have a tendency to forget to do that. Let's press play. All right. Again, you guys, just a little bit of a tease, because I know as soon as we get done with this interview, you're running right over to SoundCloud and finding this music and press and play, put in those headphones, just be blown away. You know how I love to say it. But with Ethereal, And actually, let me do a quick thing. Let's take a little trip. Okay. We are going to head over to the corner of 10th and Music. And so let's shift gears a little bit and let's talk about Ethereal, but let's focus on some of the albums, because I know that you said that with Ethereal is going to be the first single that you release. It is the first single that you released for this upcoming album. So for this actual, for the track, and let me scroll back down here to the actual, the look of the, what you did for the cover art, because one of the things that I do like that you do, again, kind of going back to that theme idea, is that your cover art shots are also really well themed as well. It's a lot of now, is it you in every one of the pictures for the album cover arts? Like in the sense of the person that's there, are those all you?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I figured. Because I really like that, because I think that your cover arts are probably the most on theme, where I'm like, wow. I mean, that really does tell you the whole story right there. So with Ethereal specifically, give us a little bit of the breakdown on because it seems like you like to focus right close up to the face, or at least definitely not like a whole body shot, definitely up higher, chest up. Give us a little bit of that breakdown of how you go about creating the cover arts, because it definitely seems like your overall cover arts also have themes, in general.
Yeah, I feel like for all my cover arts, honestly, that's one of my most favorite things to do is the art after the beats. Honestly, that's
cool.
To me, that's actually why I don't like that, because I feel like for me it's okay, if I'm gonna just release a beat, I want to make sure everything that comes with that is complements it, it makes it stronger. So that's why I like making stuff like that, the cover arts, it all kind of plays into that and that story. And I think with this specific cover, the reason, and people probably might think oh, why is it so it's kind of black and white, they would maybe expect something more bombastic or crazy or whatever. But the reason I went for something more just subtle and just, I guess, ethereal looking or whatever, is because I kind of feel like I don't know, I think that art I was wanting to do with this album was black and white and more just not really crazy, because I don't know, my past album covers. But I don't know, I might give in and go back to the crazy soon, but we'll see.
Yeah. So now, are you thinking that now, because at least I know for me, as the artist, that I will have the singles that I'll release have their own cover art, and then the album cover art will then be obviously its own thing to represent the entire album, not just the song. But is this, because I think the thing for me individually, I like the most about this, I love the ethereal, how it's written. It's simple. There's just yes, there's this whole picture going on behind it, but because of how I don't think washed out is the right word, but just how you did whatever you did with the picture of how it's almost you have to keep looking at it, oh, there is a picture there. It's not just the name. So I like that about it, but it's also so classic and simple, but yet again in that really classic old time, the things that are the standard classics are called that for a reason. So I love that about it. Is this kind of more of the theme style that you're trying to go for, or is this just for this specific song?
I think this is the theme I'm trying to go for, but at the same time, it is kind of there's so many songs that I'm probably going to release, so it might change depending on how I feel. But I feel for now, it's the theme I'm going for. But yeah, it could change. It could change.
Totally. Okay, nice. I like that. And so let me actually get back over here because let's take a look here. Yeah, let's get back to your main page. So let's take a look at the albums. So now, one of the things I did want to ask about was actually with Realm of Insanity, because I feel like this one had the most like kind of how I think about like with Louis and how he describes certain things in the sense of like, oh, all the double meaning, all of the extra stuff that you have going on here. So we've got, you kind of at like the half face. Is this like a eyeball like watching you, or is that more like the moon?
It's an eyeball.
It is. Okay. That's what I thought. Because I'm like, okay, cool. With this one, different more so than almost all the other cover arts, was there something specific like, Realm of Insanity is the name of this album overall, but like, was there anything different, or like, were you trying to sneak in any hidden messages or something, outside of just what we're seeing in the picture here with this cover art for your most recent album?
I think that honestly, when I made it, I think that I kind of, the eye was kind of like I think it was like mainly supposed to represent like, there's always that like, I don't know, like that third eye of like insanity and like chaos. And like, I feel like not just that, but I do have a song that it's private. So like, obviously if I sent the link, you could listen to it, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
it's like actually named after my old artist name, and it's like called JINX. So it's like, but it is really crazy. And I feel like that if you think about it, like in that context, you could be like, oh, well, the eye is like a portal to that song. But,
oh, wow.
So it's just like, I don't know. I like adding like hidden meanings and stuff. And it's actually funny because that specific like photo, like of the half face, I actually used that same photo on Tectonic Mayhem. Just it was a different art that I did. But that is an old photo though, because I had my long hair there, so I'm like, oh.
Well, and that was one thing that I was also thinking, because I'm like, okay, well, either you've dyed your hair since then, or it's so blacked out behind it that you obviously like removed it in a sense. But like, is there, because one of the things, and actually let me go back to the albums again, because one of the things that I wanted to ask about, and maybe not with the Devil's Advocate, the complete one, but let's take a look at this. So was there any like costuming or props or anything that you used to bring together some of these cover arts? Because like with some of these, it just like it feels like your nails are really like long and sharp, almost like vampire like. It just like it's just some of the things I'm like, wow, I wonder if he used props or anything to like help create the final look.
No, actually, those were all like Photoshop, but it's funny because now that you said about the vampire thing, I actually feel like that's something that I forgot I was doing during that time, because I actually did. It was like originally with not the first single, because the first single was Revenge. I don't know if you knew that, but the song before that, which was called Three Warnings, the theme I had around that was kind of like vampiric, but I scrapped it. But it was just like, now that you say, it's like I definitely feel like I can see, I don't know, it's like it's interesting how people view your art that you didn't see it at the time, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, because I mean, at least when I saw this, now obviously it doesn't have like a Twilight vibe in the sense of like a vampiric, more so because there is so much like darkness and it feels very angry. Where Twilight does feel more like, light and it's all about the love story. Like it's not really about like the violent side. This to me feels more like Stephen King, like you're just cut your throat right out, like, you know, just like, and when you have like your fingers like that, it just it reminds me very much of that movie where it's like, oh, that's the thing you notice, like where something's gonna happen and you're gonna see those nails grow really long, and like kind of the way you put it over your eye. I don't know. It just was such a cool one. I think this is probably my favorite cover art that you have, like just because of how you did the photo, but like also just like just the other aspects of it where I'm like, man, this is such a cool shot. Like just as what the way it looks. This was the one that I wondered about in regards to like props or like something specific, because I'm like, I just didn't know if you had tried anything like that. But I love, again, like how you do your cover arts, and just again sticking to that theme so specifically.
Yeah.
Oh, please.
I'm sorry. No, I was just saying, like, and specifically with that cover too, is like, there's something, it's kind of not, it's very subtle, because you probably wouldn't notice it, obviously, unless I mentioned it, but, and I actually like with the, so there's like kind of a line down the center of my face that's white, but, and it just looks like a straight line, but actually it's a cross that I put on there, and you can't really see it.
Oh,
but it's kind of hidden, but you can probably see it more in the complete edition because I changed it or whatever. But
okay, let me take a look at that. Because this is one of the reasons that I love doing, you know, the 10th in music aspect. Oh, okay, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't. Yes, you're right. And because that's one of the things that I love to talk about this is to give you like that, like, hey, it's your stage. Like, tell us all about the aspects that went into this. Now, is this the exact same photo just with like some different filters on it, or did you do like a different actual true shot for this one?
It's the same photo. I just like zoomed it out more, and I added some different colors to it. But yeah, it's basically the same thing. But it's funny because literally the original like unfiltered photo, it's literally like, it's because I was like laying down on the floor with my freaking rug in the background. So every time I think of this photo, I just think of that. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I'm like,
if only you knew I was just lying on a rug.
Literally.
Okay, that's really good. I like that. So now when it comes to, because again, sort of like, you know, and I mean, I don't always like, I have to come back to it 42 times every time. But when it comes to the names of the albums, and let's get back over there just so we can take a listen to them. But like we got Realm of Insanity, Devil's Advocate, you know, now Cuckoo Land is kind of the one that definitely, you know, this one is a little bit more like brighter in the sense the music is also brighter too. Not as much maybe in trying to go that like, you know, horror dark theme. But then you've got, you know, After Hours and then Possession. So still very much in that, a lot of reds, a lot of blacks, you know, a lot of aggressive, not negative isn't the right word, but, you know, maybe more like just violent also isn't the right word either, but just, you know, again, kind of just that vibe. And especially for, you know, like, you know, because like when you and I were talking about Devil's Advocate the other day, you know, I was like, was it anything like the Keanu Reeves movie? And you were like, oh, I hadn't seen it. So I'm like, okay, that didn't have anything to do with it. But like, is there anything that you think about or anything that goes into like when you're coming up with the actual like album titles? Because I really like all of them. And yet I'm like, damn, I would have called my albums the same thing. Like I'm like, these are cool because I would use them too. So what is it the theme that helps bring out the idea, or do you kind of have that also at the beginning of like, this is what I know I want it to be called, so now let's build the theme around that?
I think it was like, I think for like the album titles, I think it was like I don't know. I think of it like, for example, like and like I don't know if this is like off topic or not, but with After Hours, it was actually, it's so funny because I was so messy with my releases back then, but literally I released Possession.
Mhm.
It was like 2021. I released it at the beginning of November, and then I released After Hours like a month later. So it
Okay.
was like, and basically After Hours was like a continuation of Possession, but
Oh, cool.
and that's why the After Hours plays into it, because it's like Possessions, like the album itself is like, it's the story of like being possessed or like in that mindset, and then After Hours is like the after effect of like kind of more like, I don't know, like I don't know how to explain it. Like it's like the after hours of being possessed. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But
Well, is it at all like after hours of like the after party, like we're still in party mode, or is this almost more like the come down, like after the craziness has kind of ended?
I think it's like we're partying kind of vibe.
Okay.
Because I mean, obviously, with like Wreck Me Up, and like After Hours and Mystery, it's kind of more like
Mhm.
I don't know. It has a more dance-ish vibe to it, and even like Can Do What I Want and stuff like that. And actually, Can Do What I Want is another song that
Mhm.
a lot of actually Can Do What I Want, Crying Celestial Darkness, like those 3 songs, they were originally going to be on the first album, but then I was like, these don't really fit, I feel like, so I'm just going to put them on a different album. But
Gotcha.
that's why I'm just like, out of all my albums personally, in my
Yeah.
own opinion, I think After Hours is like my weakest, because I don't feel like I feel like I rushed it out, and I wasn't like
Mm.
really like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Which one of the albums is your favorite? Which one do you feel like is your best?
I would say Devil's Advocate, because
Okay.
I feel like that one was like, I actually feel like I put a lot of effort into it.
Mhm.
And obviously, like, I would say there are some songs in there that I'm like, okay, let me forget about these songs. Like, they don't exist. But,
Right.
you know, I would say, if anything, though, that was like where I feel like I wrote the most like personal stuff and like the most
Mm.
darkest stuff. Because honestly, during that time, I feel like I was kind of like not in the best mindset ever, so it kind of came out through the music.
Gotcha.
But, you know, and that was kind of like, I just feel like it's very personal to me, even though like it's a dark sound. I feel like there's actually like relatable lyrics in there, kind of. So
Gotcha. Okay. I like that. Okay. That's really good. And now
yeah.
let's listen to one more song, and then we'll start focusing on some future state, because I want to hear about what you have coming up. I know that you had mentioned a new album earlier, so I want to get into that a little bit more. And then we'll, kind of be ready to, wrap it up. And then I'll kind of give you the floor, just to kind of talk about whatever you want to let the people know. But let's listen to another song. And this is the one that I had mentioned earlier that, different in the sense of than What the Hell was, but still that same kind of crazy, like super, just like fun vibe. And that's You Want to See Me in a Martini. And I don't even know what it is. I think this song too is like also like just like it's so cool and random that I'm like, do you want to see me in a martini? Yeah, okay. Like, I guess, like, it sounds cool. Like, I don't know, and so I think that's like a cool aspect about it. Okay, so let's pull that up here. All right, perfect. So guys, let's see. Let me make sure I've got that listed here. I do. All right, and actually, let me just to see if we're gonna have to have an ad. Yes, we
And
will.
now for the daily forecast with Dove Men Plus Care.
Yeah.
Well, after a little tension in the air,
Let me
Dove Men
move that
Whole
back
Body
down.
Deo is bringing us fresh.
So yeah, so once we get done listening to this ad, then we will focus a little bit more on some future state. And I want to talk about more about the new album you were working on. And I just want to talk about, Mew music in general. So, but let's bring it back up to the stage right now.
Have you ever had to put your plans
come on now. Now you're just messing with me. But yeah, so when I bring it back up, we will focus on some future state. you know, and then kind of give you the stage and just kind of talk about whatever you want everybody to kind of let them know, you know, even not just like music that you've got coming out, but just, you know, kind of anything that is really, you know, you're vibing with.
I am waiting, your table, go ahead, sit down. One thing you have to know, I'm not professional. I just came the other day, don't worry about it. I've got a game, got some magic tricks, stir the salad bowl. I'm here when you need me. You wanna see me on TV, go play the tricks. You wanna see me on classical, play the girls. You wanna see me on TV, go play the tricks. You wanna see me on classical, play the girls. Timmy Cash, I'll repeat. Timmy Lash, I'll repeat. I need all that money, cause I'm broke. Wanna see me in my daily. Wanna see me in my daily. I'll work at a five-star diner. I can serve you up a platter. Or we could switch things up and put you in my position just to see how it feels when you get reeled. I know that you wouldn't like it. I'm your little bitch. Come on, grasp on you. Won't let go of you till you come and find me. I've got a game, got some magic tricks. Stir the salad bowl. I'm here when you need me. I'm here when you need me. You wanna see me on TV, go play the tricks. You wanna see me on...
I don't know what it is. That song is so cool. I don't know why. Like, just like this morning when I was on my live, I couldn't really describe it, but I really do like it. Now with that song, and this was also one of the ones too, where it's like the cover art is really cool. Like it's got this, you know, like I do like the, you know, the kind of like the vibe in it, you know, what it has going with it. Because I think it also is this, like, in a way, like, not like, oh, trying to be able to, like, scare people away, but, like, people would have to, like, look at that and be like, wait, what is this? Like, what am I looking like? Like, this is, like, so crazy and, like, so cool. But, like, with this one, it felt like, you know, especially how you brought the lyrics in, where some of the other songs you've done, it wasn't, like, a talking thing, but it wasn't, like, maybe you're fully singing or rapping. This one almost was like I'm kind of like trying to do a little bit of like a mini rap and bring in like this different like vibe and like a totally different style of, you know, like you want to see me in a martini, like where you actually went faster. Yeah. I'm like, oh wow, nice. Like you bust this out too. What cannot this guy do? Like this crazy. So when you were actually like trying to write some of these lyrics, was there anything that you did different, or like, do you have other songs that are like this where you're actually like going a little bit faster, or was this one just kind of born of the beat and like, you know, you just kind of knew you'd have to speed it up a little bit?
There actually are some songs where like I'm like speaking that fast as well, and
cool.
They're unreleased, but it's funny because like I have a playlist of like songs like this that are unreleased, but but yeah, it's like I do, and honestly, I feel like it's funny because like obviously I don't consider myself like a good rapper or anything like that, but I do feel like I can like, I guess like talk, sing or whatever like really fast, but yeah, it's like I don't know. I just think it's fun. Like I don't know. I feel like this song, for example, like it's just one of those songs where it's like whenever I released it, I was just like, this is not, and it's funny because I don't know if you looked at when it was released, but I released on Valentine's Day because like you wouldn't expect to be releasing a song like that on Valentine's Day, but honestly, I don't know. I was going to release a different song. I was like, you know what? I'm going to release this instead.
Okay, nice. I mean, I like it. Like, I like it. I mean, it actually makes sense. Like, it's Valentine's Day. Here's your roses. And bam, you want to see me in a martini? Let's go. That sounds like a pretty good Valentine's Day to me. So I like that. So let's remove the let's remove the SoundCloud stuff. Let's head back over. Let's head back over to the main stage here, and let's get some spotlights back onto us again. So let's future state out a little bit for Zaythie. Rest of 2025. What do you have coming that you can tell us about? You know, what can you either tease us with or like, you know, give us direct dates? Like what do you have coming up now that Ethereal has been released? What is your next plans?
So I would say like probably in June, most likely, because I kind of want to give Ethereal like its moment, you know.
Totally.
I think that you're probably gonna hear some random releases that don't relate to my new project. So like I might release more of that crazy sound a little bit just to like give people like a treat or whatever. Like why not?
Yeah.
But basically the next single is gonna be way more like I think it's gonna be a bit more safe, if that makes sense. Like it's not gonna be as crazy because I would say Ethereal is more like an electro song kind of. While I think the next single is gonna be more it's gonna be a different genre, but it's gonna have, I guess, it's just gonna be different for sure, but it's gonna have that same aesthetic in a sense. Most likely it will have an angel theme to it, but you know, we'll see. We'll see where my mind goes with that. But yeah, and I would say maybe expect another Hellbound feature. I don't know. We'll see.
Ooh, okay. I'm excited for that.
We'll see.
I am excited for that. So now, any idea on what the new album is going to be called? Any idea on the themes? Or was that the theme that you were just talking about for the overall album? Or is that just for the next song?
That's like for the next song, but the album itself right now, I'm calling it Mirror Image because actually it's funny because there's kind of like a story to the album. Not to reveal too much too soon, but it just kind of explores, you know, this feeling of like, I don't know, it just kind of like tells a story. Like it begins kind of like more like this kind of like ethereal sound, kind of where it's more just experimental, more honestly future based in the beginning, but then over time at like near the end it kind of mellows out and gets a bit slower because I kind of view it as it is kind of telling the stories of like the stages of a relationship and like a breakup, because there's actually two songs in the album, one of them, and they complement each other. One's called No Spark and the other's called Let Go, and kind of like it's supposed to kind of and actually I think I sent No Spark in the music review before, but it kind of just tells a story in a sense of something I went through. So but you know, it's just, and also like not just that, but the mirror image, it's like you have one half that's like obviously different and then another half that's different, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just, it'll be fun for sure.
Cool. I like that, and I like that name too. Now, just thinking about the idea of like your other album cover arts and just, you know, I guess maybe in a general way, nothing about the name Mirror Image kind of like signifies anything like more like, you know, darker or horror vibe or like anything like, you know, Devil's Advocate or, you know, even Possession was. Any thought, you know, like just even like maybe like early mindset wise of like thinking about what you want to do with that cover art, like kind of what maybe that overall style is going to be?
I think that I feel like what I kind of want to do is like with the album cover, especially, is like make it where there's like obviously like kind of like it's two sides, like two faces of me that are like looking at each other. And one side is kind of more chaotic, and the other side's kind of more, I guess, like muted in a sense. Like,
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know, not like a heaven and hell thing, but actually more so like maybe one side's black and white, and then the other one's more just like, you know, maybe not dark in a sense, but just kind of like different. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Nice. I like that.
Mhm.
And now with this one, I know before we'd actually hopped on the live that you had mentioned you're like, oh man, I've got like 20 songs, like, basically almost ready to go for this, but I don't know if I want to have the album be that long. Now, comparatively to the ones that you've had released out now, because I don't think any of those were over maybe what, 8 or 9. Like they were all kind of like a more condensed and like, like again, you were really able to bring that theme in there well. Is there any thought process right now of like, I want to try to put out a much bigger album because of X, or would you probably maybe try to cut those 20 songs into like 2 albums of like 10 to keep it more aroundish to the level of, your current albums now?
I would say I think it just depends. Like, I guess my main reason for like wanting to have an album that long is more so just because I want it to like tell a story and like kind of just be a big project.
Yeah.
But I also feel like I could also technically like release 2 different albums. I think it just depends, but I think what I'll probably do most likely is like release like maybe 12 tracks or 16 tracks and then maybe a deluxe edition, which
Nice.
would probably make more sense honestly, but I think it just depends. Like once I release all the singles I want to release, then I can like go through each song and be like, should this be on the album or not? So
Right. Okay. No, nice. I like that. And now, one of the things, and I totally forgot to mention this, so I apologize about that, but are there any music videos that you have out that you have done? Anything like visual that you could show us?
Trying to think. Not really. Like
Okay.
honestly, the most I want to make a music video, but I don't really have anyone that can help me. So it's like
Okay.
I'm basically doing it on my own.
Yeah.
But I do have like obviously this one visualizer for Hysteria, but it's on my Instagram.
Okay.
But that's more like just repeated videos or whatever.
Gotcha.
And I also had a visualizer for Falling Hard,
Mhm.
but I archived it because I was being told it was like too demonic. So I was like, okay, like
Oh, okay. Interesting. All right. So now, is there a thought at all, maybe not to do like something more specific for like Instagram or like a social media type of thing, where it's we're making the videos specifically just for this aspect, but like any want to be able to do like a direct, like, oh, like turn one of your songs to do a music video, or to do like a recording of a live session that you're doing and, up there on stage and like, being the DJ and like boom, 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 like, I'm putting on this show. Like, what would you want to do? Or would you try to be able to do more like not like a movie thing, but like you're trying to put a theme around it, as opposed to I'm up on stage and just, getting the crowd going? Like, what would you want to do?
I feel like, well, actually, one idea I've had in my mind for a while is like there's this one song that I haven't released yet. It's called Heartful Handful, and it's a synthwave track actually. But I kind of want to do a music video for it where it kind of like tells a story of like kind of like a heartbreak, I guess. I don't know. I just want to like do like a story that incorporates the song into it,
Cool.
which would be really fun. And maybe even just like more visualizers that are more not just like repeated stuff like the Hysteria one, but ones that are actually more like a music video kind of.
Yeah.
But I actually kind of like, honestly, I want to do one video where I like am kind of dressed up as like an angel, and it's kind of like just like really black and white and stuff like that. But we'll see if I
Cool.
can even afford it. So
Well, and do you think for where you are right now, like not like location wise, but just, in the moment, do you feel like the bigger issue is more that you just need to be like, find that person or that like team, or is it more of like a monetary thing? Like, okay, I can be able to do it, but I have to be really strategic with it.
I think it's like both. Like obviously,
Okay.
like I need someone to help me, but and I think people can, but I also think I just need to be strategic because
Yeah.
obviously I don't really like. I have people on SoundCloud, but I think honestly, like what I want to do is like release, and actually I released Ethereal on Spotify because like I want to try to promote it and like actually put like the music out there for like, you know what I mean, like create an audience outside
Yes.
of SoundCloud
Mm-hmm.
as well. And it's just hard because I don't want to like release the music video and then it just gets nowhere, you know what I mean? So
Right.
I guess for me it's just if I make one, I want to make sure I can like properly promote it and like put money into it kind of. So yeah.
For sure. Nice. Yeah, well, because I think it's, for any artist, you get to a certain amount of like time that you've put into it or just a certain level, and it's almost a demand. Like it almost has to be a thing that it's like you cannot move up to this space until you become something visual, more so that people can recognize you as the face and the music. Like
Mhm.
it is just a thing. I mean, it definitely is true. But at the same time, though, I think that it's almost impossible to have something blatantly visual, especially with the amount of stuff you actually have out. So it's not like you've come out with like 2 songs and now you're putting out a music video where you barely have any foundation of the music to stand on. So I think for you, it would be really cool. And I really like that idea of like the one where it's like trying to create that relationship and like that breakup
Mhm.
to make it this skit, putting it to one of, to that song you mentioned. So I think that's such a cool idea. And I would, I mean, even if it's maybe not like a blatant realization for 25, man, I would definitely put it in a future, like at least make it a legitimate pathway you're going to try to walk down, even if it's
Mhm.
just, what can I do for like $100 or $200? Like,
Yeah.
because like if I look at my, last video that we did for Freedom Fighter, like granted, maybe overall, like with every single thing, like, it was more than $400, but like the actual just making the video
Mhm.
and everything, like to get him be there as like the expert, that was that amount of money. So it's like, I look at that music video, I'm like, damn, I did that for 400. Like, so it's like, I think you really can be able to create something fantastic for either almost nothing or legitimately do it for nothing. But then obviously you're having to like strategize a lot more about like how you put it together.
Yeah.
So then you really need more of like of a team, but you definitely can do it. And I think that with how well you really put the themes together for in a general way, I would absolutely try to do it, because I think that your like mind state of seeing the bigger picture the whole time is really impressive,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
you don't have like this myopic view of like, okay, I'm just going to work on this one song, or I'm just going to do this one thing, and then that is done, and then I move on to the next thing. Like it's like you sort of have the whole album already tracked
Mhm.
out in your head, and then the creation is just bringing all that to realization. So I think that like I just see that in you, where I'm like, man, I would love
Mhm.
to see a music video, because
Yeah.
you give it that bigger, like, I want to put it into a production, even if that production is like not a lower level in the sense of like
Mhm.
quality, but just like I'm trying to be really specific, or like maybe do like a direct, easy theme, to where we're not trying to like, let's make 14 sets and do all these other
Mhm.
things. But I think
Yeah.
it's something I would definitely recommend, because I think that the way you do the music, but I think also with like your style, and like, especially with some of like the pictures that I see on Instagram, and like, just kind of like, just like really putting yourself out there, people will absolutely like connect to it, because
Yeah.
you're always giving like your 100% like
Mhm.
active whole self. So it's
Mhm.
like, even if people don't like connect with your direct thing, they can't not connect with like the idea like, oh, he's really doing it, like making it happen. So that's half the battle right there. But I would definitely recommend it because I would love to see what you do.
Yeah, and like honestly, I wouldn't even be against like making music videos for like some of my older songs and just like going back and doing that, because honestly, like I regret, like one thing I regret is like not promoting my music in the past, because like for example, like this is a little bit off topic, but like with Devil's Advocate, for example, obviously like when you're a smaller artist, like promoting stuff, like it's not, you can't like hyping up stuff, it sometimes doesn't always, you know what I mean, like that's not always gonna, not everyone's gonna be like clicking on your like pre-save links, you know what I mean? But it's like I just feel like I should have put in more effort into that era of like that album, because I only like really promoted one song and then I gave up and I was like, I'm just gonna drop the album and then ditch. But I wish I promoted it more, but I didn't. But oh well.
Well, but I think the thing about that's like, hey, you know what? You have to, I mean, granted, like, yes, you did have Possession and After Hours before Devil's Advocate, but like, there always has to be a starting point. Like, it's more so like, okay, you built up the catalog, you built up a little bit of the foundation with Possession and After Hours, but then Devil's Advocate, like you said, you know, it's your favorite album, and it's the one you felt like was the most personal, mixed in with like the best like theme put together. But like I mean, I feel like I think that's a great idea. Like, go back to some old stuff, try to be able to create some things, but yet even if you feel like you didn't get to market and do every single thing you wanted to back then, well, now that you know you've got Mirror Image coming out, then do it doubly big for that one, just to see how much more people like not like people connect with it in the sense of an emotional way, but just like the numbers. Like, if you try to promote it twice as much as you did with Devil's Advocate, or on a whole another level, how many more people are now coming into, you know, your DMs or whatever, like anything, like how much growth do you see trying to put in a legitimate marketing campaign as opposed to not doing one, and where you got to up to this point. But by trying to put something legitimate together, it can't do anything but help you. Like, nobody's going to look at marketing and then be like, well, now I liked him as an artist, but now that he's marketing himself, fuck this guy. Like, they're not going to do that. Like, that's not their mindset. So I think that it couldn't do anything but just get more eyeballs and more ears on the music. So, I mean, if it's something that you haven't started putting into, you know, maybe the full like release in regards to Mirror Image yet, I would definitely try to at least map out some things now, or just like, you know, talk to me or Louis or any other of the artists like that have put out stuff too. Hey, what has worked with you? What are some things where it's like, ooh, that definitely did not come through like I wanted. Like, it definitely, again, like I said, it can't do anything but help, you know? So that was kind of all of the direct, like specific questions that I wanted to, you know, blatantly ask you. So like I said, I just kind of wanted to be able to give you the stage, you know, just again, you could talk about, you know, music that you put out. You can talk about new stuff coming up, you know, just what is it that you want to let the people know?
Honestly, I feel like let's think for a second. I feel like one thing that like I will like kind of like say is like, I feel like people should not be so like afraid, and like I think people know this already, but people shouldn't be afraid to put out whatever they want to put out, because I feel like for me, what I do, and I've done this to multiple songs and I keep doing it and I'm like, oh my gosh, Zachary, stop doing that. But it's like, I actually released 2 songs recently and I just deleted them because I was like, no, like I regret releasing this. But it's like, I shouldn't have deleted them because I released them for a reason. Like, I actually released a song, and I think some people in here might remember it. It was like called Dreamy Stream or whatever, but I deleted it because I wasn't like, I don't know. For me, it's like sometimes the number thing gets to me and I'm like, oh, it's not, but it's like, that's not realistic at this stage. And also like, that shouldn't be what I'm doing it for. And I have to remind myself that, because obviously you get a dopamine boost when you see like, oh, my song got 1,000 plays. Like, oh my gosh. But it's like, like what that doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
That's fleeting.
Like, it's not, it's like, it's not what it's about. And I think people just need to release whatever they make, like, especially since SoundCloud, like, not that it's not a serious platform, but it's more like, it's kind of like a portfolio in a sense. Like, you can just release whatever. And honestly, that's kind of what I think I'm going to do is like any song I release on SoundCloud that maybe isn't like relating to my project is just songs that I want to release specifically on there, just to release them, not to necessarily like promote it heavily, but in that way, because honestly, actually, one thing that I'm not sure if I want to do or not is I have a different album in mind as well, but it's actually called The Unknown, and it might include songs like Hysteria and like Gehenna, but it's more darker, more crazier. But I might just release that exclusively on SoundCloud, just like as a side thing. But it depends.
Nice. Okay, cool. Well, I like that. And I mean, I think that's a really good statement. Like, put out the music. You made the music, and then you took the time to actually release it, to then take it off. It's like, yeah, you know, hey, you wanted to do it, so you did it. Like, I mean, it's not like that's a bad thing. But I think that the mindset, you know, your other statement, like, is 100% right. Like, you put out the song, you wanted people to hear it, and while I can understand the idea of like, okay, it's not getting the numbers that you wanted or whatever, like the specific aspect is, so maybe it's not doing well, so I'll just remove it. But I think that there's always that idea that even if like this one individual song doesn't do well or doesn't do what you thought it might, like, I guarantee that one of the people that did hear it, like, probably were like, oh, this is like my favorite song that he's done, you know, because you never know. You just never know how one song will affect one individual as opposed to how it won't, or you know, who hears it as it opposed who doesn't. So, I mean, I think that it's such a good statement. Like, put the music out. Don't be afraid. And if you're already in this space where you're creating and you're putting in the time to do it, to put in the time to then not actually like get the payoff, doesn't make sense. Like, it, like, not in the sense of you, like you said, it's about the payoff, but it doesn't make any sense to do the work and have no payoff at all. Like success for you doesn't have to only mean the numbers, but half the time it can just be about getting the song released. Like, I did this start to finish, boom, put it out, and now you can go listen to that, and you can tell anybody you're talking to, oh yeah, no, that's my song. Yeah, I made that. Yeah. You know, like, so I love that about it. But again, you know, such a good statement and so true. I mean, for everybody that listens to this now, you know, that watches it later, you know, definitely put down in those comments too, what song you thought was your favorite that we listened to of all of the different tracks today. But also, just again, to keep that, you know, mindset right in the front of your brain. Like, if you're going to be a creative and you want to put in this work, put it out. Like, there's no reason not to. So, but again, you guys, we are here at episode 28 of Artists on Artists. We've had almost 2 hours speaking with Zaythie. It has been an amazing time. And again, we've gone through all the questions that I wanted to be able to talk about. You know, he kind of just gave us that, you know, really, really good, like, kind of way to be able to end it out. So I think that's a perfect kind of ending spot for the interview today. So again, Zaythie, thank you so much for joining us for the interview today. I wanted to thank you for your excitement you know, leading up to the interview, like regardless of like how much work and like I'm putting into it, the more excited that you as the person coming onto the show will bring out more of my excitement in too. So I appreciate that it was like every time like we would chat about something, you'd be like, and I'm so excited for this interview. And I'm like, yeah. And every time you said that, I'm like, okay, now I'm a little bit more excited too. Like, yes, yes, your excitement helps make me get even more like, yes, I'm excited and want to do the interview too. So again, thank you for that. And guys, everybody that did join us during the live, thank you so much for being here, for all that love, all that support. And for anybody that watches this later or in general, put down in those comments what song you thought was your favorite and what would you want to see him do for a music video in the future. So put those down in the comments and also let us know what you thought that favorite song was. All right, guys. So again,
thank you.
No, thank you. Was there anything you wanted to be able to end it off with? You know, just a goodbye, anything specific?
I just want to say thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate it because, again, I've never been interviewed by anyone. So, like, this is, like, really special to me. And honestly, I would love to come on here again someday, but, you know, we'll see.
Hey, I mean, we can definitely make it happen. I'm the one who runs the show, so I could talk to a guy. All right, guys. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us. Episode 28 of the Artist on Spotlight. And this week we had that spotlight shining directly on Zaythie. So now that we get done with the interview, go over to SoundCloud, go find his music on Spotify, run up those numbers, let him know which song is your favorite, let him know which album is your favorite, and just keep showing that love and support, you guys, because I absolutely love listening to his music along with all of the other artists that we've had on the show. Now, again, like I did mention earlier today, we are going to be doing a break because I will be out of town next week specifically, but we'll be right back onto our regular that next week after the fact. But we are planning a little bit of a something, a little special. Zaythie, you might also want to keep yourself available for that maybe too. You know, Louis might want to be able to talk with you about this interview today, especially since it was your first one. So I'm not going to lie. I had made a little joke earlier too, where I was like, I'm glad I'm your first. Like, yes, I get to be the first interview. So I love that. Yeah. So again, guys, episode 28, Artist on Artist Spotlight featuring Zaythie. Go and check out his music. And again, guys, thank you for everybody that joined us. Thank you for the people that are still rocking with us right now. I so appreciate all that love and that support. And we'll see you at the next episode, guys. Bye. Peace and love. Have a great day.
What up? It's your boy RPG. Red, purple, gold. Kilos. Panoramic roof. Bitch, I'm red, purple, gold. RPG. My strength will never fold. My height is never frozen cold. I'm the best. Yeah, that's what I've been told. 1, 2, 3. My voice has been freely sold. Luxury of my life is all I know. It's all I know. But I will never sell my soul. Never sell it. I won't.